Hey guys, this is Justin at the Survivor Review. Today we're talking about the second episode for Season 10 of The X-Files. Where the first episode failed, this one succeeds. This is just a great old school style X-Files episode that was gross, weird, funny, just awesome. The whole two-night premiere was a great move by Fox. Not only did they get the added ratings boost due to the football game for the first episode, but they get to wash the bad taste out of some people's mouths for the first episode without having to wait a week to do so. And that was just a great move by them. Since this was a two-night premiere, I'm going to do the same thing I did in my last video and discuss the episode without spoilers, and then near the end talk about all the spoilers in the episode, just in case there are people who want to watch this review without having seen the episode, just in case. So this episode is a Monster of the Week one, just unrelated to the overall story, just a weird case that Mulder and Scully have to investigate. And it starts out with this scientist who keeps hearing this loud ringing noise in his ears that nobody else is hearing around him, and keeps hearing this voice in his head, and his way to deal with that is to take a letter opener to his ear to get the sound out, which of course kills him. So Mulder and Scully investigate this apparent suicide, which leads them to this doctor who's doing these experiments on these mutated kids, and it just leads into a lot more stuff than you'd expect it to. This episode is not perfect, it's not great, it's not like one of the best episodes of The X-Files. It's just a very solid, old school mythology episode. This just felt like classic X-Files, which is the best thing you could ask for. There's a lot of great, creepy imagery in this movie that you're just going to remember from now on after seeing this, including the opening with the letter opener, and the scene where they go through the hospital and see all these mutated kids. There's just a lot of screw-up stuff. That one kid whose face looks like it's melted almost. It's just so creepy and weird. And then there's a lot of great stuff near the end of the episode that I'll talk about when I get to the spoiler section. And even though this is Monster of the Week, they actually do delve into the mythology a little bit, mostly pertaining to the character of William, Mulder and Scully's kid that they gave up for adoption in Season 9, which is something I never thought they would actually talk about or expand upon, just because that's a storyline from Season 9, which a lot of people just don't like, so you'd think they would just kind of try to move past that. But when I saw the previously on recap in the beginning, and they mentioned William and all that stuff from Season 8 and 9, I was just like, what? Oh, so we're going to be talking about that now? I wonder how that's going to tie in. And it ties into the story because these experiments that they were doing on the mutated kids might have some relation to aliens, which is what they're assuming, and that just kind of ties back to William, who was part alien, and just a lot of that stuff. And the way they handle it is that Mulder and Scully have these visions of what would have happened if they had kept William and took care of him. And they come out of nowhere, but they're really intriguing, really weird. It's just all of a sudden it cuts to Scully walking this kid up to school, and you're like, what is going on? Is that supposed to be William? Oh, is this a kind of flashback, daydream type of thing? And it always ends in tragedy. And then Mulder has one at the end of the episode, and those scenes were just heartbreaking. Those are the scenes where you just feel so bad for Mulder and Scully, especially Scully's line where she says, "I've missed every single day of his life." It's just oh man. And the ending of the episode, the final shot of the episode, is just this sad shot. But all that stuff was really good, and I really liked that. That was probably my favorite stuff, just because it delved into the characters more, and into a storyline that basically once they gave William up for adoption in that episode of Season 9, they just forgot about him for the rest of the show. And that just made that whole William storyline feel so pointless, to me at least, when I was watching it. And this kind of brought some weight to it and made it feel more than just a pointless storyline. I never thought the adoption idea was good when it came to William, just because it to me just made that whole storyline pointless. Why do we watch a whole season of her pregnant if they just gave him up and just totally forgot about him? And this brings that back into light and just kind of makes it seem like it mattered, and actually makes me care about that storyline a lot more, which is really good. So this episode was just, again, a really good Monster of the Week one. Not perfect. I feel some of the flaws came with the story, just that a lot happened in this episode, and a lot of stuff I didn't follow a little bit, and I think it's because it starts off as something small, like a scientist hearing a weird ringing in his head, and just keeps growing to these like experiments on his mutated kids, to this one kid, this one son trying to find a sister. Again, it's not one of the best standalone episodes of all time. It just has that classic X-Files feel to it that was just, it made me happy to be watching this. Just a new case for Mulder and Scully. And speaking of that, one kind of thing I had a problem with, just with the overall story structure of the season, I found it weird how in the last episode they just mentioned how they reopened the X-Files. And I still don't understand why they would have reopened the X-Files. And it seemed kind of weird to have, like, you know, Mulder being all scruffy looking in the first episode and then just off camera mentioning that they opened the X-Files. And then this episode just begins right with them in on a case, Mulder all clean looking. And that seemed like a little bit of storyline was missing there. I kind of liked the first episode where everything just happened really fast. Just all of a sudden they're back to investigating a case and the whole X-Files office is back to normal. That just happened really fast. But once you get past that in the beginning, it's just, alright, Mulder and Scully investigating a case just like the old days. I'm in. And it's just a lot of fun. So now I'm going to talk about spoilers, so if you don't want to hear those, just skip to this time code to hear my final thoughts and just things like that. So, going back to the whole gruesome imagery in this episode, there was a lot of crazy stuff in this one. The one that got to me the most was when the girl cut the baby out of her, and you see the little hand sticking through her stomach. That was just like, what is going on? That was just disgusting. And then the ending where the doctor just bleeding out of everywhere in his face. And that leads to the best line in the episode, a great comedic line from Mulder. It's just classic Mulder, where he just goes, I blacked out if the guy's eyes popped out of his sockets. You can't unsee a thing like that. I died when I heard that. Just a great line. And I love that. Just there's a lot of imagery in this episode that sticks with you. It was very creepy. It was gross. It was strange and funny. Just all the right X-Files elements all rolled into one. And then going back to the whole William storyline, the whole ending with Mulder's vision of him and just like them watching the movie together, them shooting off the rockets, and then him getting abducted by aliens, which of course is what Mulder would think about. And then that final shot of just the camera pulling back as Mulder sits alone at the table looking at the picture of William. Just, dang, that was heartbreaking. That really was a heartbreaking scene. And Scully just, I feel bad. I feel so bad for Scully in this show. She goes through so much, and from most of her family just dying to having a kid and having to give it up. Just so sad, and Gillian Anderson really brings that to her role whenever she talks about William in this episode. That was just great. That was really well done. And even though I mentioned some of the problems of the episode has to do with the writing, I still thought for the most part it was very well written, and the build-up in the story was very good. Like with seeing the son character throughout the episode, you see Mulder kind of walks past him as when he's a janitor, and then they almost hit him with the car later on. I thought that was really good build-up in the writing. So for the most part, it was solidly written. It just had a few issues with just a lot of stuff happening in it, like the one pregnant girl who ends up being hit by the car, and just a lot of stuff like that just happens really fast in the episode, which is kind of my major flaw with it. But overall, just a very solid episode. Sure, it's not one of the best of the series, but it's a great return to form for the show. Definitely a step up from the first episode, which was just like a mess of mythology. It's just fun to see Mulder and Scully back doing what they do best, solving weird cases, which is one of the best parts of the show. Sure, the mythology is cool now, but the Monster of the Week episodes are always something special. And that's what I liked about this one. And if this is any indication of what the next episodes will be like, we are in for a treat. This is going to be some just fun, old school style X-Files that I can't wait to see continue on. Just an awesome episode. This episode, actually, I watched it with my girlfriend who had never seen X-Files before. And this sold her on the show. So yeah, it was a good episode. It was a good episode, and I can't wait to watch more. I can't wait to see more Monster of the Week stuff, and even explore the complicated mythology more. Just now that the big 2-night premiere is over, I'm definitely excited for what's to come in the upcoming weeks. Sure, the first one was disappointing, but this one just set it up well to where I'm like, yep, I'm in, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So yeah, that's the second episode for Season 10 of The X-Files. And that's about it for now, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.